Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alright, so we're back with another video out of the Barbecue Pitmaster's Den. Today we're going to be checking out a quick recipe from my travels from around the world. So I've gone to countries all over the world. Been to Honduras, been to Jordan, been to Lebanon. I have been to Qatar, I've been to Tajikistan, Kazakhstan. Some of my favorite cuts of meat, though, from around the world is always a good rack of lamb. And that's what we're going to be checking out. That's kind of the star of this video today. But we're also going to be eating some jerk shrimp as well as a little smoked sausage. So we're going to be going through the video, and I'll be speeding up through a few things, mostly just talking through the spices, and then we're going to speed up a little bit on the cook once we actually get everything on the kettle grill. But we're cooking some Afghan rack of lamb, we're cooking some jerk shrimp, and we're cooking some smoked sausage on a 22.5-inch Kingsford grill that I got at my previous duty station at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. We'll talk through everything as we're going along, and then at the end we'll wrap up with how everything turned out. All right, see you in a bit.
We're going to start with the jerk shrimp. First, we're going to add a little extra virgin olive oil and then a house blend jerk seasoning the wife and I put together. It's got garlic powder, onion powder, thyme, parsley flakes, paprika, ground nutmeg, cinnamon, salt, pepper, cayenne, and allspice. We're going to mix this in real well so it can sit for about 30 to 60 minutes. With the shrimp prep, we're going to head over to the Afghan lamb. For the Afghan lamb, we're going to start off with some fresh cracked white pepper. Then we're going to add salt, onion powder, rosemary, thyme, parsley, chives, a little bit more parsley, some crushed red pepper, some garlic powder, and some cumin. With all the spices in there, we're going to do a very rough grind. The reason I'm doing a rough grind is really a personal decision. I actually like larger cracked peppercorns on my lamb, and it really shines when you put it through. So as you can see, we grind it up a little bit, and with that ready to go, it's time to head over to the lamb. Okay, to prep the lamb, we're going to start by removing the meat from the packaging and rinsing it off with some water. There's a lot of blood and myoglobin on these things, and you want to remove that. Then we're going to grab a paper towel and we're going to pat dry these things down, primarily because oil and water don't mix, as the saying goes, and we're going to be adding some extra virgin olive oil a little bit later on. So with them patted down, now we're going to go ahead and remove this membrane on the back. Now, this is certainly a personal choice, but I can tell you why I do it. Number one, you'll hear a lot of cooks on the competition trail say, hey, you want to expose as much of the meat as possible, especially to your seasoning. So when you're going through and you're prepping your larger cuts like pork butts and briskets, that's why you see a lot of cooks on a competition trail trimming their meats. Same concept with this rack of lamb. We're going to go ahead and remove the membrane so that we can expose as much of that meaty goodness as possible. The second reason is once you throw this thing on the grill, that membrane is just going to tighten up and it'll be almost like chewing shoe leather. So while that's certainly not a pleasurable chew, we're going to go ahead and remove these things, and then we're going to get ready to get them cut up so that we can get them seasoned. So there you go. Okay, so with the membrane removed, now we're going to get these things sliced up and get them ready for the pit. While you're watching this, I actually want to take a quick second and explain to you where I found this recipe at. So, like I said, I'm in the military, active duty Air Force, and I've traveled all over the world. This particular recipe I found in downtown Dubai on a trip to the United Arab Emirates. On our off day, we decided to go visit one of the gold souks, and around lunchtime, we decided we wanted to eat, and in usual fashion, we wanted to eat on a local economy. Don't like eating in the large tourist areas because we want to really taste the local cuisine. We found this Afghan spot off the beaten path, and the menus were in complete Arabic. Nobody spoke a lick of English, but they had great pictures. I saw a rack of lamb delivered on a plate with a little bit of cilantro and a lot of red onions, and I just had to have it. They brought this thing out, and it was the best I had ever had. So I immediately grabbed a notebook. I jotted down what I thought was in the recipe, and I brought it back home to try to replicate, and I actually think I did a pretty good job, and that's what you see here today, my interpretation of what I consider Afghan lamb. So real quick, you're going to see the marbling on these things. It really shines through when you're putting it on the pit, and that marbling, that fat, definitely helps to bring out the spices and the flavors of the lamb. Now we're going to go ahead and get the rest of these lambs cut up, and then we're going to get them ready to put in our bowl, add a little extra virgin olive oil, season them down, and then we're going to let them sit for about 30 to 60 minutes. Now, You can let these things marinate as long or as little as you want to. I've seen them marinated from a couple of days to as little as what I'm doing here, which is only 30 to 60 minutes. It's really just personal preference for the cook. In my particular instance, I'm going to marinate these things for about 30 to 60 minutes, like I said, and it's really because I'm doing it like I do my beef, and that is on the counter. I'm not going to leave it out very long because I don't want the meat to go bad, but that's as opposed to letting the marinade and everything sit on the meat in the refrigerator. There's two different ways to put meat on the grill. You can put it on cold, you can put it on room temperature. You definitely don't want to put anything other than beef on a pit at room temperature. And that's what I'm treating my lamb like, is beef. So we're rubbing it down with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil, and then we're going to go ahead and head over to our seasonings. But the extra virgin olive oil is great because it adds a little bit of char to the meat once you throw it on the grill. So now that those things are all drizzled down pretty good, we're going to go ahead and add our seasoning. And again, with the seasoning, it's really up to the cook with how much or how little you use. I personally like my seasoning, and I like the way it really complements the meat. So I tend to be a little bit heavier handed with my seasoning, as you can see here. So we're going to go ahead, start adding the seasoning, and we're going to get these things mixed up real well. Now, with our lamb rubbed down, let's go ahead and head over to our grill. For this cook, we're going to be cooking at about 500 to 550 degrees. So the lid's going to be open for a majority of the cook. With recycled coals that I used from last weekend, we're going to let the pit go ahead and get warmed up, and then we're going to throw our sausages on first. Once the sausages are on the grill, we're going to go ahead and leave the lid open. Remember, we're cooking at about 500 to 550 degrees. These sausages are already cooked, so it's really just about personal preference and how well you like these things done. I'm going to let the fat drip down into the coals, and then with all the extra open air from leaving the lid open, we're going to get a nice open flame going, and we're going to get a nice char on these bad boys. Once the bottom side is charred up, we're actually going to go ahead and flip them over, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side, except on this side my favorite part happens, and that's the crackling of the skin. So again, open the lid, we're going to keep the temperature up, and that fat is going to drip down, and you're going to get a lot of open flame, and that open flame is really going to make these things turn into what we all love, which is just really good barbecue. So with them flipped over, we're going to go ahead and let them cook for a little bit longer, and then it's going to be time to pull them off. With our sausages pulled off the grill, I'm actually going to go ahead and close the lid for a couple of minutes because I definitely don't want to put my lamb or my shrimp on at 500 to 550 degrees. They're both really delicate meat, so I'm going to close the lid for a couple of minutes and let the temperature fall about 100 to 150 degrees. As you can see, I've had the lamb on and the shrimp for a couple of minutes. I've actually already flipped my lamb, and I really just did that to make it more aesthetic, the video more aesthetically pleasing to my subscribers. So as you can see, we switched these things over, and we got a nice char on one side. And with the shrimp, I got my shrimp on the outside of the grill, and that's really just because I don't want my shrimp to burn. So I got the lamb directly over the coals so that fat can drip down and we can get a nice open flame. And then I got my shrimp on the outside so that it doesn't, I have a little bit more leniency with respect to how fast these things cook. So these are actually almost done. We're going to go ahead and pull them off, and then I'll do a quick pan out so you guys can see what the final product looks like. All right, what we've all been waiting for, the grand finale. Here's a quick panoramic view of the Afghan lamb, the jerk shrimp, and the smoked sausage. As you can see, everything has a nice char on it. I've said that repeatedly throughout this video because it is really just a unique flavor that you can't get any other way of cooking. But it's not burnt. The smoked sausage, the Afghan wreck lamb, and the jerk shrimp are three of my favorite recipes. And as you can see, these are all cooked to perfection.
All right, so as you can see, definitely an easy cook for the family. This is certainly something that you can do at home as well. I really like it. I like how fast it is. I like how simple it is. You don't have to use a grinder. You can absolutely get all your spices already pre-ground, and then you can just mix everything up in a bowl for the Afghan lamb. And then for the jerk shrimp, again, that was just a jerk seasoning that myself and the wife had put together, and we just keep it bottled, and we use it anytime we don't feel like doing a whole bunch of mixing that night. Sometimes you just want to throw everything on a pit real quick and then call it a day. Or she wants to grab everything, grab some meat, she wants to just throw it in the oven or right on the stove top real quick and call it a day. So we keep some seasonings like that around, and it definitely helps out a lot. So thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more videos, please click the thumbs up button below, like the video. Go ahead and subscribe to see more videos like this, and we'll see you back for another video on Tremendous Q's Barbecue channel. Thanks for watching, guys. Later.